And we're live. And I have a question. Yes. Is there something you keep telling yourself you're going to get to someday? You know, the book, or you're going to paint, learn how to paint, or get back to painting, or take a class, or learn how to, I don't know, whatever. But there's like this whole version maybe of your life that you just kind of keep pushing back to later.
And most of us carry that word someday around for years.
Decades, right?
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, someday is not actually promised to anyone.
That's right. That is, ain't that the truth? So we have a guest for you today. She carried her someday around for 25 years, people. 25 years that was her holding this story in her head. And she was telling herself she was going to write it eventually.
And then that word eventually was actually a day where she actually sat down and wrote that novel in, wait for it, 18 months.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
Crazy. So Debra Hunt is our guest, and she has a new life motto. Anyway,
I'll take it, motto.
Exactly. She's got a new life motto, which I love. And it is, tomorrow isn't guaranteed, and someday needs to be now. I love that. And that's what we're talking about today.
So, if you have a someday of your own rolling around in your head, sitting on a shelf gathering dust, stay with us, because this one is for you.
Welcome back to Salty Sisters. It's been a while. And
it's been a long while.
It's been a while. We took a little break. If you have been waiting for us, thank you for waiting, because really we have missed this and we've missed you more than you know. I'm Yvonne Marchese.
And I am the freaking fabulous Cat Corchado.
And Miss freaking fabulous Cat Corchado. For anyone who doesn't know who you are, even though they should, can you let them know a little bit about yourself?
Well, I kind of thought the freaking fabulous said it all, but actually, I'm an Air Force retiree. I run the Fit for Life Alliance, and I also host a podcast called Sisters in Service.
Fantastic. It's so good. And I am a self-declared age agitator and play instigator, which, let me tell you, is a lot of fun. And I'm also the host of the Late Bloomer Living podcast and the founder of the Age Agitators Club. And as I said earlier, our guest today is Debra Hunt. She's going to be joining us soon, running a little bit late. Life happens, right? But Debra is also a U.S. Air Force veteran. She's a retired clinical social worker. She lives in Colorado. She's a hiker, a pottery student, ballet and tap dancer, and as of this year, debut novelist of the book Unlikely Hero.
Watch out, y'all. We got two Air Force veterans in the building. So you need to stay tuned, because it's going to get a little... What's a word we can use, Yvonne?
Salty. You guys are going to have some stories, I think. Debra, welcome to Salty Sisters.
Hi there, you guys. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's great to have you. I've been so excited. Do you want to give us a little bit of the... I'll tell you the question that's burning a hole in my brain. 25 years with a story in your head. And so what were the things that got in your way? That's one question I have. But the next thing I want to know is the trigger that flipped, that made you go, okay, now.
All right. It goes back even farther than 25 years, you guys. I mean, my whole life, as soon as I learned to read practically, I wanted to write. And I did. I wrote a lot all through school, and I was thinking I'd be a journalist. I wrote in high school a lot, and then I'm very impulsive. So I joined the Air Force instead of going to college right away. And the Air Force was something that changed my life immediately. It was a get on a plane and enter a whole new culture, which is great. And I have wonderful memories of that. And I also had an opportunity to do a lot of writing while I was in the Air Force, but it was all work related. Then I was a social worker, also writing for work. And, I just put my dreams of fiction on the back burner. There was always something more important. And I have to say that procrastination and perfectionism really ran the show, right? They were the reasons why I kept on not following my dream. So then came retirement and my identity crisis and so many questions around who would I be? Especially who would I be without a job title? What would I do with all this vast amount of time that I had? And so I had to answer the hard questions of what did I really want to do with the time remaining to me? And I realized that I still wanted to be a novelist, and I had to be saying, what am I waiting for? Someday has to be now. Because, as I said, tomorrow is not guaranteed. So I got tired of hearing my excuses, and I took out what I had already written with little dribs and drabs, and I got going on it.
Can you take us to like I don't know, were you sitting there and breakfast in the morning and you're like, oh, come on already, Debra? Like, was there like a real moment where you were like,
I'm a goal setter. And so every year on New Year's or so, I would write out like, what am I going to do this year? What am I going to achieve? And I would always write, become a writer, do more fiction writing, some variation of that theme. And I was realizing that I was only fooling myself if I wasn't going to actually do it, right? I mean, time is not on my side. It's not on anyone's side. And I realized that at the end of my life, I would be sorry if I didn't even try. And so I had to just say to myself, now is the time I'm really going to do it. And I had to build some accountability into that process.
Ooh, what? Sorry, Kat, I'm not even giving you a chance to ask questions.
I'll just be here. I'll just lean back and be like, y'all talk amongst yourselves.
I am going to go ahead and ask the question because it just sparked when you said that. The accountability, what'd you do to set up accountability for yourself?
Here's the funny thing. I think the easiest and most simple way of establishing accountability, and we all know it, is to tell one other person. And so I started telling people, when they would say, hey, what are you doing? I would say, I'm writing a book. And then I was very worried, like my inner critic would say all kinds of negative things, but no one ever said anything negative. They said, hey, what's it about? Or when can I read it? Or I want to do that as well. And so that helped me to feel like, hey, maybe I really can do this. And then I just put together a process, which was someone I had followed for a while on social media. She was a writing coach, and she had a program that I signed up to follow. If I followed her process, she guaranteed that I could finish my book in a year. And it worked.
That's fantastic.
Wow. Debra, I have a question for you. When you first get out of the military, after retirement or after just leaving the military, did the sense of being a writer bubble up more? Or as most people, when you get out of the military, you're just thinking about, where's my next job? Where's my next paycheck coming from?
Absolutely, Kat. I mean, I'm with you on that. I spent 10 years in the Air Force, and they were wonderful. But I got out at a time when I needed to either leave the Air Force or get a different job, because my job was a Czech linguist. Mm-hmm. And our countries became, the dynamics changed, the global dynamics changed, and the Soviet Union fell, and that's how old I am. And I decided to make the leap into civilian life after 10 years. So I was not thinking about my fiction writing at all. I was thinking about how to transition to my next professional identity, how to translate my Air Force career into something else that I could do and do well.
Oh, for sure. what was that moment like? So you finally retire, and were you at home? Were you sitting down having coffee when it just said, now I'm doing it today. I'm starting it today.
It was a little bit more of a process for me because I knew I had like a list of things that I wanted to try. And one of them was like, well, it's sort of embarrassing. I wanted to play the violin.
Oh, that's not embarrassing.
That's not embarrassing.
Well, it's embarrassing because I never tried before, and I never knew how hard it would be. And
did you end up trying?
Oh yeah, I have a.
See, that's a boss move right there. I love that. Yes,
I took lessons, and I remember talking to my teacher one day, and actually, she helped me in a way that she doesn't realize. We were talking about my process and how hard it was, and I told her that it would take all of my spare time to learn to play the violin. And then I realized a little voice said to me, like, wait a minute, what about your other things? What about your tap and your ballet and your pottery and your writing? The writing was always kind of haunting me in the background. So that was kind of how I said, wait a minute, I'm going to put the violin aside, and I'm going to really put the writing into the forefront. I'm going to make that my priority.
And that's the thing, right? You do have to make choices. Like it was 2020. That's when I decided to do the podcast, which had been an idea that had been banging around in my head for 2 years at least. And I also had an accountability trick. When I finally realized that it was basically fear and imposter syndrome holding me back, I was like, enough already. And I did a post on Facebook just to say, I've had this idea for 2 years. I am declaring this to be the line in the sand, and I'm doing it publicly because I need to do that. And I'm doing it this year. And that was in December of 2019, actually. And then I got all these lovely comments from friends like, congratulations, and, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh no, I haven't done anything to be congratulated for yet. I better get on it, And that during COVID, I also picked up the ukulele, which is much easier to play than the violin. And still, there were a few things I was playing around with. I always am. I'm kind of like a scatterbrain that way. And I was just like, okay, the ukulele's fun, and maybe that's a someday, but now I need to focus on this thing that I said and it just also completely captured my imagination to do the podcast. And I was kind of like, just things fell off that didn't matter as much.
I think for me, you guys, you're like, you write it down, you get accountability. I just said, I'm jumping in with both feet. I didn't care who said what. I learned how to do a podcast. I put it out there. Okay, here we are, because if I go through all of that, I'm going to talk myself out of it and be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do this. Or if I would have put
myself out of it for 2 years, Kat.
No, you did. But I think if I got one comment that's like, oh, maybe you should think about that, maybe you shouldn't, then I probably wouldn't. So if I really have something in my heart to do, which started with the podcast, then I'm going to say, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I learned how to do it, and I put it out there. And so I think for me, jumping in with both feet, learning a process is easier for me than to, I don't know, write it down or do whatever. I can't. It's just like, I'm going to do this. Like Debra talked about the violin, and Yvonne, you did the ukulele. I've always wanted to play, wait for it, the drums. Can you see me drum? Like,
oh yeah, yes.
Power.
I'm like, I'd be a really hot female drummer. I would.
You totally would. Nothing's stopping you now.
It's still there.
I still want to do it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm actually starting a new project that I'm completely jazzed about that I'm not really sharing any details on because I'm not ready to share the details with anybody because I don't want pressure for this one. And I want to explore it, and I want to dwell in it, you know what I mean, and learn as I'm going. And I don't want anybody asking me about the output end of
How's
it.
it going?
Yeah.
Have you started it yet?
Right. And here I am talking about it. So don't ask me, people.
Don't you dare. So Deborah, you write your book. How did it feel when you had it in your hands and you were like, because a mutual friend of me and Yvonne says all the time that not everyone can be a writer. What does she say, Yvonne? Kim says it.
Yeah, I think it was Holly who came up with this.
Was it not everyone's
We had a writing coach for
a writer, but
everyone's a writer, but everybody can be an author.
Thank you. That's what it is.
And she coaches writers, and her point being that even if you don't consider yourself to be a writer, you know, somebody who loves to just sit and create stories or put things on the page, she's like, if you have a story to tell, like your personal story, record it and start there. You know what I mean? And then you have something to work with. And so she just was teaching us different ways to get our stories down as authors. And
there's different ways to do that too.
Yeah.
Like, I can't write my words because my brain is going faster than my pen, but I can talk. I can translate it that way onto a computer, get all my thoughts out. So you can be a writer and not be a writer, if that makes sense. Just say it.
Everybody has stories, right? I mean, one of the most beautiful things as a result of this is conversations I've been able to have with people. Given my new title of author, we have conversations about what stories they would like to tell. And they sometimes say, oh, I'm not a writer. I think in the same vein that you're talking about right now. But everybody has a story. And a lot of these stories are so fascinating.
Yes.
I like to listen for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know,
how did it?
Go ahead, Yvonne.
I was just going to say, you'd asked her the question, how did it feel to hold that book in your hand? But we didn't get the answer. How did it feel to hold that book in your hand?
It was like indescribable, really. It was sort of the culmination of a lifetime that I had a book with my name on it, and it existed out in the world. And some people would say, it's like a real book. You know, and it is. It's a real book, and people can buy it at their local retailer or online. And then people started to say, hey, I read your book, and I liked it. And most of these people, I have to admit, they were my friends. They are my friends. But the feedback was so authentic that I felt like I couldn't really chalk it up to them just being my friends.
That's what we tend to do, don't we? We kind of like, oh yeah, but they have to like it. They love me.
I know.
Right?
They would you can tell the difference in the feedback, right? You can say, that was nice, or I enjoyed it. Or you could say something like, that kept me on the edge of my seat, or I really enjoyed this character, or something like that. That would make me think that they really did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Debra, what was your process? You know, a lot of people a lot of authors have a different process. Like some of them get up in the morning, they have their coffee, they eat something, then they go to a certain spot in their house or their apartment where they start writing down thoughts and stuff for their book. What was your thought process?
That's a pretty complex question. I'll try to answer. I had like a beginning, middle, and end of my story in my head, or, on paper. And I had time frames when I would write, usually mid-morning, and usually almost every day, because if I didn't do it almost every day, I would forget what was the name of the cat.
Yeah, that's a real problem, right?
Momentum, right? So you're going to lose your momentum if you lose your stride. That's why it's important to have some kind of a writing routine.
Mm-hmm.
So it just, scene by scene built my word count and put it, I would always print it out every day and put it in a notebook because I was worried that I would lose the file,
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually I had 30, 40, 50, 100 pages until I had almost the length of what I consider to be a real book.
And then what was the editing process like? Was that part of the class that you took? Did your teacher kind of take you through an editing process, or how did you manage that part of it?
The teacher offered a manuscript evaluation where you could see the strengths and weaknesses of your particular manuscript.
Uh-huh.
And she also had a very strict revision process because people, I think, tend not to know how to revise what they wrote. So there was step 1 through 12, and you just had to stay on your step and make sure that you didn't color outside the lines, stay in the process the way that it was written. And the problem that I had was always going back and rewriting while I was editing or while I was revising. I was doing that even after it went to the publisher, which was a mistake.
Yeah.
Because you never want to leave it alone.
You keep wanting to change something.
I think this happy should be glad, or I think that she should say this instead of that. You can drive yourself crazy.
Yeah. Did you have problems? I know for a lot of writers, they will struggle in the the creation process of editing. Or did you find yourself having to resist the urge to edit as you were writing?
Yeah, I kind of don't do very well on that. I do you're not, the wisdom is don't reread what you wrote. Just keep going. And I do reread it and I do tweak it. So I'm a slower writer because of that.
Yeah. I imagine that would be me too. I don't know for sure, but I imagine. Go ahead, Kat.
Debra, did you have any kind of writer's block on days when things just didn't come to you? Or are you one of those very gifted people that it just flows right onto the paper?
I don't think there is any such person. And I think we can all take heart in that because even the famous writers talk about it. And the way to overcome is maybe you write something that's not so great, but you write something, right? Because the old adage is you can't edit a blank page. So if you have words on the page, even if they're not great, that gives you something to go back and edit later, doesn't it? So that I think helps with writer's block. It doesn't have to be brilliant. It just has to exist.
Yeah, there's I've done some writing for for talks that I would give, right? And I remember taking a class and to write like a signature talk kind of thing to talk about this whole idea I have around aging and changing the way we think about aging. Anyway, she, as part of our class that I was in, was like, okay, it's time for you to write your crappy first draft.
That's right.
And another friend of mine is a writing coach as well. And she has a writing prompt exercise that she calls small and crappy. And, so I just thought that was funny. I guess I'm attracted to people who like to talk about small, crappy work or at least like to get out of your own way. Right.
Well, it kind of gives you permission to be, you know what I mean? Like it gives you permission that if it is crappy, it's okay. Like when Debra was talking about coloring outside the lines, I want the choice. You can color inside the lines or outside the lines. And I'm like, ooh, I'm definitely in the line girl. But if you say, Kat, you have to color inside the lines and that's it, everything's going to go outside the line and not on purpose. I'm really trying to color inside.
Right. So. Also, when you said that, you can't edit an empty page or a blank page, did it make you think of Kim, Kat?
Yes.
We share a business coach. We're both in a business mastermind together. And our coach has a saying that you can't steer a parked car.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like for entrepreneurship too, like get going. Like maybe you're not. So let's take this away from the writing conversation for a second and broaden it out to like all kinds of things that you may want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the hardest part is starting. So if you just start and stop and don't stop yourself with the perfectionist tendencies that do tend to get in our way, really it's the starting, and then you improve as you go. You course correct as you go. You know?
I think my salty sister likes to say, be a beginner at something. And then it takes the pressure off.
It is really hard, right? Because we all think, we all maybe read a lot and we think we know how to write, for example, but then when you do, it's like, well, why isn't this a masterpiece? It's because it's my first story ever. That's the reason. So,
and if it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
True.
Yeah.
So, Debra, what do you say to people who, and I know we've all talked to people that say, oh, I really love, not writing, let's roller skating. I've always wanted to roller skate. And then you say, well, why don't you do that? And they go, well, you know, I think I'm too old. I'm too this. I'm not enough this. How do we overcome that? How did you overcome that? Or did you just say, I'm doing this now? You know, because I find that veterans are just like, yeah, now's the time to do it. Let's just do it.
It's always interesting when people say now's the time. Why is now the time? It can get pretty existential, you know, pretty philosophical. There's a young man that I see often, and he says, in answer to the question, how are you? He says, living the dream. And I know he means it sarcastically, right? But I want to say, well, if this isn't your dream, what is? And if not now, then when?
Then when?
Because we all act like we have unlimited amount of time. That's why sometimes it seems like we may jump into something. Maybe we take some tentative steps towards doing something. That's the great thing, because that may be the only chance you get to do it. One time somebody challenged me to do like something water skiing. And I was like, I'm scared. I don't want to do it. I'll do it later. And he said, well, there may not be a later. And I said, okay, darn it, I'll do it now.
Exactly. I think that one of the things that before my business, and I say this to myself all the time, I said, I have more time behind me than I do in front of me. So why not now? Just do it. So I started my Fit for Life Alliance at 65, I think, 64, 65. Why not? People say, what if it doesn't work? Then it doesn't work and I move on. Because we're past that trying to, I think, impress people. We're doing things that have been in our heart and on our heart and in our mind for years. And you reach a certain point in time where you're just like, I'm doing this. I don't care what people think. And I think that's a kind of a cool freedom to have. You know what I mean?
What about the roller skating? Was that something you always did, Yvonne?
You know, it was something that I did when I was, I'd say between the ages of 9, 10. Definitely I was 10 when I was roller skating all the time. And probably until I was 13. And then, you know, it started to feel, I think I started to feel kind of like peer pressure-y things. Like nobody ever said, oh, skating's stupid. But I've always been a quirky girl. And I think when I was 13 and in middle school and stuff like that is when I started to I started to modify myself to fit in more. And I lost some stuff that I loved along the way. And, you know, in my 20s, I did, you know, that's when rollerblading came. You know, rollerblades were invented sometime around there. And I was like, oh, okay, rollerblading, because that, you know, it's exercise and all that. And I rollerbladed and it was fun, but it was more exercise. It felt more like exercise. It was hard sometimes. It was pushing along. It just felt harder than roller skating.
Oh, I loved my rollerblades.
Did you? Roller skating felt like felt fun,
like play.
Yes, and I always felt like I was flying when I was on my roller skates. It felt like freedom, you know. And you know, I don't think I ever made the decision to stop. It just stopped. And then I don't know, I got into my 50s, and I think like end of my 40s is when I kind of started realizing, oh, I miss that. That was so much fun, you know. And I caught myself, like my sister-in-law also used to be a roller skater, and we'd talk and we'd be like, I used to roller skate too. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. You know, I miss it. And then finally I was like, well, if I miss it, why am I not doing it? And that's when I was like, I got him for myself as a little celebration gift after I published my little book back there, for a job well done. I was like, that's it. I'm getting back on my roller skates. This is, and so I shopped and I found the one. I have bunions now, so I had to be very particular about my roller skates. I had to make sure I had a wide toe box. You know, I'm like, okay, skates for old ladies. I'm like, I did so much research, crazy. And I thought I would get back on my roller skates and just be like, okay, I'm just gonna skate now. And I got back on and I was like, oh,
hold up.
This is really scary. And I was very wobbly for months on my skates. And so I would just go out like 5-10 minutes at a time, even 15 minutes. I slowly started building up and the wobbles went away. And it started to feel like it used to feel, you know. It was like, and even in the wobbly times, I had like that little feeling in my stomach, like, woo, you know, this is fun. So, long answer to your question, Deborah.
I have a roller skating story too. Well, it's a very short one. I was in the gym and I saw these women practicing for roller derby, and I was like, "Oh, what is this? This looks like I could be a tough woman," or I call myself a girl. And so they invited people to join and practice. And I practiced with them one time and I fell a bunch. And I realized that the whole point of roller derby is to knock each other down.
Yes.
And I know that I just wanted to glide around. So I only went the one time and I realized that it wasn't for me because that's who I am. I try a lot of different things.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes that means I don't get good at any of them.
Right.
But, you know, it's a couple of things have stuck.
But that's okay. Because, you know, for a lot of people say, oh, I don't want to try that, or I don't want to try that. You know, what if I fail? And I call it failing forward. You know, what if you try it and you don't like it, but you tried it? You know, I tried real estate and I was like, nope, don't like this. But now it's off my brain and it's opened me up to other things. So, Deborah, give us a little, if you can, a little bit about your book, Unlikely Hero.
Yeah. We haven't even really talked about it.
Okay. It's about a woman who is coming back from the brink of devastation. She just lost her fiance in a horrible accident, and she has a young dog at her side. And along the way of recovering what seems to be normal, she meets a charming stranger, and he offers her some help. Little does she know that she's inviting danger into her life, disguised as comfort. So things become more and more complex with this gentleman, or I shouldn't say gentleman, person. And she needs to figure out how to reclaim her life from this weird entanglement that she has gotten herself into, along with some unusual allies that she has at her side, let's say.
Oh, I'm so excited. You know, I regret that I was not able to read the book before we talked today, but I mean, I wanted to talk to you more about this process of getting to writing the book anyway, but now, boy, that sounds juicy.
Well, it started out with me thinking when I was younger, what if I'm going to live alone by myself sometime? I'm a very simple thinker sometimes. I'm just going to get a big dog, a big intimidating dog, and he will protect me from anyone that means me ill, harm, right? So I started thinking, what if I trained the dog? And what if the dog trainer became the bad guy? Would the dog protect me, or would the dog ally with the dog trainer? And
Oh,
so that was the
The plot
beginning kind of
thickens.
seed of that was the seed of what I thought about writing, 25 years ago. It changed over time, and I think it got better, but that was what I was thinking at the beginning.
that is so cool.
I'm glad. I kind of like the fact that you put a dog in the story.
I
'Cause
love dogs.
I'm such
Dogs
a
are my
dog
life.
person. I know, me too. I'm such a dog. I'm like,
And I
oh.
really wanted to feature my protagonist's name is Jessie, and the dog is named Legend. And Legend is really important for her recovery, for her coming back from the edge of trauma. Just to have another animal in her environment, living and breathing, was very important. And then it really anchored her to a sense of the here and now,
Oh
and gave her
yeah.
a sense of purpose as she was recovering her life.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. My husband, I'll be watching a movie and the main character does something. I'm like, don't hurt the dog.
Somebody asked me at a book fair the other day, does the dog get hurt? And I was like, no way.
No,
I never went
no way.
someone getting hurt.
Yeah, that's always heartbreaking. You read something and the dog gets hurt, and it's like, oh, come on. That's not right. Yeah.
Oh man.
Wow. And how old is the main character in the book?
In the book, my protagonist is like in her early 40s or something like that, because when I thought of the book, she was that age.
Uh-huh.
And then what I wanted to say, though, I'm really proud of the fact there's an older woman who is her ally, and she has become very prominent by the end of the story.
See, and there you go. That isn't that interesting, because had you written the book, I'm guessing when you first conceived of it, maybe that older character would never have shown up.
Absolutely not. You're absolutely right, Yvonne. In my second book that I'm working on right now, the women are all older, and I'm really, really leading into the whole idea of, older people with agency.
I love it. I love it. Do you know who Stella Fosse is, by the way?
I do not. Tell me.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to mention a few things for anybody who is watching this, primarily because you are thinking you've got a book in you and all that. A couple of people that I think are fantastic. Stella Fosse, that's Fosse. She has a great blog, and she's written a book. And of course, everything is going out of my head right now. But I think what I'm going to do is, after this live stream goes, gets published on and live in all the places, I'll put it in the show notes, all these things that I'm going to mention, because I don't know how to do it here live. Stella Fosse is someone to watch for. Beth Barani is a writing coach that I think does great things, and she's got a podcast that talks. She's a sci-fi and fantasy writer, but she's also a writing coach, and a good one at that. And then my friend Nina Hart has a she calls herself a coach for heartbroken artists. And she's the one that does the small and crappy writing exercise. And hers is called Writing from the Top of Your Head. Mm-hmm. So she's great with that. So that's Stella, Beth, and Nina. That's what I've got in my head at this point. And did you enjoy the writing process that you went with your coach?
Yes. And can I say a little plug for her?
Yeah. If you feel it.
Her name is Rhonda Douglas, and she's the director of a program called Resilient Writers. And the program that I specifically enrolled in was called First Book Finish.
Fantastic. So I'm going to make sure I go back in and add all those things to the show note for anyone who's looking at this, really looking to take the next step, maybe.
So Debra, what's next for you? You've finished that beautiful novel. Are you kind of in that bliss phase? Kind of just,
That didn't last very long because there's this whole idea of marketing to someone that you don't already know.
Yeah.
As I'm sure you both have written,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
in your positions. So there's been this whole like anxiety around marketing. And I had another epiphany, and that was I don't care as much about selling the book as I do about people reading the book. And so that might sound odd, but I want to get in front of readers, and I want to talk to readers, and I want to connect with readers. I'm not trying to build a career as an author, like to make money. What I would like to do is help people to recognize whatever dream they may have and help them to take those steps.
I love that. And I completely get what you're saying. Like that little book that's sitting back there, I hardly ever talk about it. But I pick it up every now and again because it's really the type of book that you can pick up and it's a pick your own adventure sort of thing. Like pick it up, open it to a page, and let that message hit you for the day. And hopefully you're a little bit inspired and you move on with your day. You know, that's the way I designed it. And I love my little book, and I actually read it and I go, oh, that's nice. I can do that, but I don't market it. It's like
I have your book though. I saw it on your your materials, and I bought it, and I have it on my nightstand. And so
thank you. That's the trick. I put it at the bottom of my weekly emails because that way I don't have to talk about it. It's just sitting there, and I'm like, okay.
I'm telling Kim.
No, it's legitimate. It's still, I'm still talking about it. It's just that I don't have to carry the emotional weight of saying, hey, people, I have a book. Will you go buy it? And I want people to read the book. That's why I wrote it, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
I get what you're saying there, Debra. Yeah.
Debra, if someone is listening today and they've been putting off whatever their dream is, what's one piece of encouragement you'd leave them with today?
The people that have done the thing that you want to do are not superheroes. Everybody is just like you, and they have been you before. And so all you have to do is take the tiniest little step towards your dream, and then the next one, and the next one. And pretty soon you'll have a body of work that you can be proud of, whatever area that is in, whether you want to learn to jump rope, or whether you want to write a book or paint a picture or open a Pilates studio. I think that we all have infinite possibilities, and we just have to encourage each other.
I started playing jacks again. Remember the game jacks?
I never knew how to play it. I'm thinking about picking the stuff up.
It's so much fun. I'm just giggling and laughing, and my husband will peek around the corner. I'm like, I'm okay. I'm just having a good time over here by myself.
One of my guests on Late Bloomer Living inspired me to get a hula hoop again, because that was another thing that I did as a kid that I really enjoyed. So for Christmas, I asked for a hula hoop, a weighted hula hoop, and it is so much fun.
I have one too. I was telling you when we talked on the phone, I got it out and was hula hooping just a little, dissipate some energy.
Yeah, and I really only do 1 or 2 minutes at a time, but it's like a thing to get up from my desk and break up the monotony of the day for a second,
Do you kind of hula hoop down to your ankles and hula hoop all the way?
Oh no, I'm not that good.
I never knew how to do it when I was a kid. It was probably on my list of things, like get a hula hoop and learn how to do it. And so I did.
Yeah. And this, like you said, there's two things that you said that I want to pull out from that, which I love, is that the people that are doing something that you think you may want to do, and you're looking at them like agog, they're not superheroes. They just took the first step, and then they took the next step, and then they took the next step. That is one thing that I have truly learned in 6 years of doing Late Bloomer Living, is I speak to these people who have done like really cool things, and they're just like me, and they're just like you listening, and everybody has fear and has to walk through that fear to get to the other side of something that they want. And it really does start with the baby steps. And the other thing is they can be baby steps, like some little tiny change that you give yourself the grace and no pressure to do some small change in your life. And you don't know where that one tiny little small change is going to lead you. It could be the beginning of something, but it doesn't have to be. Like, just make a little change that you want and live in that and let it breathe, you know, and who knows where it'll take you.
Debra, before we go, where can people find your book?
They can find it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. I'm really happy that it's been widely distributed. That's part of my publishing process. They can find it in a couple of libraries, but probably not nationwide yet. Really, any retailer, they can find my book, just my name and the name of the book.
Okay.
Fantastic. And I will definitely go back and put things in the show notes so people can get to links and all the things we talked about. Thank you so much for being with us today, Debra.
It's been fun. Thank you very much. I like knowing you guys.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely have to stay in touch. And good luck with the sequel. Or is it a sequel or is it just a second novel?
It's a second novel.
It's a second novel. That's very cool. Our next show, for anybody who wants to come back and hang with the Salty Sisters, is going to be next Friday at 2:00 Eastern time. And topic to be determined. So we will see. But we are going to be here every week from now on. We were monthly before, but we're going to be coming back every week. So come on back. Feel free to ask questions when you're here. And thank you for being here.
Goodbye. And as always, stay salty, my friends.
Stay salty. Bye.